My name is Luke. I am 45-year-old and I was married to Lana, who was 42-year-old when we got divorced. I own an automobile garage. I built this place from the scratch and I am proud of my effort and hard work. We live in a big house that I bought after working years and saving for years. Lana and I have been married for 16 years and have two kids, 12-year-old daughter, Maria, and 8-year-old son, Mark. The community where I live is pretty close one. Everyone knows everyone. We also have monthly barbecue and small parties. On one such family barbecue, we were at a friend's house. Corey was a single father with two daughters, same age as my kids. His wife cheated on him and ran away with her affair partner. He also deals in selling weed. At the barbecue, I could not find my wife and went looking for her. I found her in the garage. Corey had his hand in her panties and his tongue down her throat. Lana was moving her hips in sync with his hand. I lost my mind. I walked up and landed a punch on Corey's face. He went down and I kept landing on his face. He covered up and my wife freaked out and tried to pull me from her AP. I screamed at her and told her we are leaving right now. She tried to pacify me and asked me to calm down. It was nothing, just a kiss. I shot back. He had his hand drilling your hole and you were calling as nothing. You walk right now or never come back to the house ever again. She reluctantly went with me, grabbed the kids, and we went home. At home, she put the kids to bed and we started to argue. She kept defending her actions by saying that it was nothing. I then went silent, walked to my fridge, took out a beer. With a cold demeanor, I asked her, "How many times did you fuck him?" She knew I was not buying her lame excuses. "A couple of times in last few weeks. You were dead to me as a wife. Don't expect anything from me anymore." I was dead inside. She kept crying and stating that it was nothing. She just wanted to have some pleasure. I could hear her, but the only thing I heard was a faint ringing in my ears. I was about to pass out. I put my head back and closed my eyes. I could hear my heart beating and my veins throbbing on my forehead. A few seconds later, I looked up and saw my wife still trying to talk. I held up my hand and told her to shut up. I went to my bedroom and shut the door. I did not let her come in. She tried to knock the door. I told her to sleep on the couch. As I lay in my bed, the only emotion I had in me was revenge. I can share my cigarette, not my wife. I had two targets here, Corey and Lana. I don't care about the fallout, but I will get my revenge. The gears in my mind started rolling. Next morning, I started phase 1 of my plan. I had to take out Corey. I knew he was dealing in weed. I have bought from him earlier. I knew when his supplier comment goes. This time he will come but not leave. He was arrested. 5 pounds of Mexican weed was confiscated. That will take care of him for a while. My wife called me after a few hours of Corey's arrest. She asked if I snitched on him. I shot back. "Why do you care? Are you missing his fingers already?" She hung up. I knew there would be fallout, but did not expect what I saw once I was back at my place. Both of Corey's kids were at my house. I asked my wife, "Why are they here? They need to leave." My wife came forward saying that Corey was your friend and you should take care of his kids. Taking care. He should have thought about that when he put his dick in you. They need to leave now, or else the consequences will be grave. My wife tried to stop me, but I threatened to call child services in case they are not gone. I did not intend to hurt the kids, but Corey should have been careful. Dealing in drugs and having kids to cater to. Don't mix well. I am not responsible for the kids' misfortune. She sent them to another neighbor. That night, I again did not allow Lana in the bedroom. The next morning, I took the kids for their football practice. Lana also joined us. My daughter was friends with Corey's daughter, and after the practice, she walked up to me, holding hands her friend, and asked if she can sleep over tonight. I could not say no. I was a bit guilty to put the kids through this. I allowed this and bought Corey's kids were at my place that night. That night, Lana did not knock the door and slept on the couch. Next morning, I asked Corey's kids, "Where should I drop you?" They looked a bit sad, but I had no choice. I had to be heartless. My wife stopped and stated that the kids will stay. I looked at her, walked up to her. I looked into her eyes and stated, "So you made your choice. It's time to deal with it." I went to my room, packed my bags, and left. I made myself comfortable at my garage. I had to do it. It was going to be my home for a long time now. This battle just entered the phase 2. I did not speak to or call Lana or my kids for the next 2 weeks. A week later, I saw Lana enter my garage. She entered the office and closed the door. She sat down and started crying. She said that she was sorry and wanted me to come back. "The kids miss you and I miss you. What about Corey's kids? Are they still at our house?" She said yes. "Get the fuck out of here and don't come back to talk as long as they're in my house." She got angry and accused me being sadistic and putting kids on the streets. Did their father think about his kids when he was selling drugs? Did he think of the consequences when was drilling you? Did you think about the results when you opened your pleasure hole for that man? Let me tell you, no, you did not. Now get out of here. She started crying and fell to her knees. She then stated that she needs money to buy groceries. I stated that I had filled the stocks. How did it finish within 20 days? Oh, let me guess. You have extra mouths to feed. She started crying. I threw $100 at her and asked to get out. She came forward and hugged me. She then kissed me on the lips and tried to push her tongue in my mouth. I stared in her eyes and turned her around, pushed her down on the table and took off her panties. I took out a rubber and proceeded to drill her right there. She moaned, and more she moaned, the more I got angrier. I finished and she fell to the floor. She started to fix her clothes and got up. I handed her a $5 bill. She looked confused. I looked into her eyes and stated, "I pay for the services used." She was shocked. She looked at the bill and looked shocked. I shot back, "I pay for what it is worth." She ran out crying. Now for phase 3. I called all my staff and had a small meeting with them. I told them that going further, we will only be working on cash and not other means of transaction. I told them that I was going to divorce my wife and explained what is going on. My staff has been with me as long as the garage, and they all agreed to help. The very next day, we sold off the inventory to other garage for cash. We started services with only cash payments. 2 weeks later, I filed for bankruptcy. That will help me reduce alimony amounts to be paid. I went to a divorce lawyer and explained what is going on and informed what I have done and what I want. He asked to stay away from Lana and also stated that I might lose the house and the garage. I was willing to lose everything. My dignity had been trampled and I just wanted to salvage what is left of it. Next morning was a bad one. I got the news that Corey was given a bail and will be out for a few weeks. I was upset, but it was also a chance to get evidence against my wife. I asked one of my staff to keep an eye on my house, and any car that needs to be tested will be driven near Corey's house. 3 days later, Corey's kids were back at his place and my wife was also seen visiting him. Since Corey might be under surveillance by the police, he will need a carrier for his drug operations. It could be my wife. I was horrified at the thought of this. My kids' safety was at risk. A week later, I had Lana served with the divorce papers. I knew she would call, and she did. I started recording the call. She opened the call with abuses and went on a rant. She stated how Corey was good with his tongue, how he was having sex with her every day when I was at work and the kids were at school. She claimed that she will be making a lot of money now that Corey is back. Although she did not say how, I could understand. She threatened how I will lose my house, my garage, and my kids. She stated her plans to have Corey adopt my kids and never let me see them ever again. I laughed and said that. We will meet at the court. I sent the recording to my lawyer and then gave a small visit to the local police station. The very next day, I got a call from the police station. It was Lana. She was crying and asked me to come and bail her out. I laughed at the irony that she has been arrested because of me, and I am now supposed to go and get her out. I did not say a word and hung up. I went to my house, and that night I slept in my bed. I felt like a king coming back to his kingdom after a battle. Peace did not last long. Lana was out on bail 2 days later and she came home. I was prepared. I told her that she was a risk to my kids and I do not want her near them. I had already called the child services and told them that my wife is a drug dealer and we need to keep her away from my kids. She tried to force her way into the house. I stood back and walked out of the house and made one phone call. In minutes, cops reached my house and I informed that my soon-to-be ex-wife has to be evicted from the house. She was inside when the cops reached her and asked her to move out. I informed that the deed of the house is in my name and then I displayed the restraining order against her. She screamed and lunged at me. The cops restrained her and told her to calm down else she will be going back to the jail. She did not listen. She picked up a flower vase and threw at me. It hit me on the forehead and I started bleeding. Inside, I was more than happy. She was handcuffed and taken back to the jail. I pressed charges for assault. A few weeks later, I met her in the court. My lawyer produced the call recording where Lana had threatened me. The cops testified about my wife's violent behavior, and her recent involvement with drugs was the caviar. She lost the custody of the kids, and I did lose the house. The good thing was that I never had to pay alimony. It was few weeks later that I got to know that both Corey and Lana were found guilty of drug trafficking and were sentenced for more than 5 years in prison. That night, I took the kids out for a party, and although I had the sense of victory, I had the sense of sadness. I had lost my wife, my house, and my family is broken. Corey's kids were sent to foster homes. I felt bad for them, although I never intended for them to get hurt. I still feel bad for them. Until next time.